Bob and I have been to at least 100 coffee farms over the last 6 years. You could describe our visits as intrusive. We stay on the farm, we walk the fields, and we talk to the workers. We ask a gazillion questions, and then we come back a few months later, and we do the same thing all over again. And there is often desperate hope that we will buy their coffee. It is, without a doubt, a relationship built on inequity. We have the power. So, what if we could flip the script and start to put the power in the producer's hands? I have been a coffee drinker all my life, but I didn't know that the coffee industry, as it exists today, is ruining the environment and keeping people trapped in poverty. That is the status quo of coffee. We can't let that stand. We've got to change it. We're traveling the world looking for producers who are doing the right thing for their people, for the planet, and for their communities. When we find them, we connect them to a marketplace of buyers that will pay them the right price, now and for years to come. It's time to put a name, a face, and a place on every cup of coffee. The people who become our Farm Direct partners are doing incredible work for their people, their communities, and our planet. We support the work they do by buying their coffee at a fair, sustainable price. And they support what we are up to, which is making Biggby Coffee 100% Farm Direct by 2028. And then changing the coffee industry itself. To do that, we need partners, not vendors. We need their voices at the table. We need equity in the relationship.
The idea of direct trade is end user with producer, connecting those two people together and creating a human emotional bond between them that can't be unwound ever.
We call it Full Circle. Every year, we bring our farm partners at our expense to Michigan to meet the people that make up Biggby Nation and see how we do things. We invite them to participate in the decision-making process about where we're going and how we're going to get there. It's powerful. And for our mid-sized farm partners like Finca La Fortaleza, it's been a game changer. But they already have a level of sophistication and access to resources that is rare among coffee producers of the world. They are highly educated and very well-traveled, and they have all been to the United States many times. For the micro-producers like Marta, Miguel, Salomon, and Pascual Hernandez, it's another story. Before our partnership, none of them knew where their coffee went after it left their farm. They spend 365 days a year doing the hard labor caring for their crop. And when the time comes to sell it, they hope they get a good price, but usually they don't. And then their coffee disappears down the road in the back of a pickup truck, bound for who knows where. We invite them to see exactly where their coffee goes, to watch it being served in a Biggby coffee shop, and to connect with people who enjoy their coffee. That's Full Circle. And as far as we know, we're the only ones that do it. Why are small producers so important to coffee? About 60% of the world's coffee is grown by people who have less than 12 acres. And in our experience, many of them have a lot less than that. And if you want to change the lives in coffee country, you have to reach those small producers. When I told Maria Esther, we want the small producers to come to the Biggby Nation Summit in 2024. They're going to need passports and visas. She answered, "Oh, my dear, they're going to need so much more than that." Many people born in the rural mountain communities that produce coffee have no official documentation, no birth certificates, no national ID cards, nothing. And procuring those documents takes Herculean effort and a belief in miracles. Fortunately, Maria Esther is a miracle worker. For 2 years, she spent countless hours researching online and talking to every official who would listen about how to get the job done. She took the small producers to various appointments at government offices all over the state. For Miguel, the task was relatively easy. He already had a passport and had worked in the United States with an H-2A visa. But for Marta, Solomon, and especially Pascual Hernandez, the task was much more complicated. After multiple attempts to comply with every request Mexican officials made, Pascual was still refused a passport. It was heartbreaking. For Miguel, Marta, and Solomon, though, getting their passports was only the first hurdle. Next, they had to apply for a U.S. travel visa, and the wait to even get an appointment was 2 years. Not one to be discouraged, Maria Esther checked the U.S. Embassy's website daily and finally secured an appointment in the distant city of Monterrey. The small producers were, at very long last, granted their travel visa.
See you in Michigan! Bye!
Our Farm Direct partners descended upon Detroit on a picture-perfect Friday afternoon in September. We had an action-packed itinerary in store for them that included a store visit, a Tigers baseball game, and dancing to Motown on the Detroit Princess. But the biggest thing we try to accomplish with our time together is leveling the playing field. We hosted a roundtable with all of our current and potential partners where they discussed the Obis model and how to make it even better going forward. We also toured Paramount Coffee so they could see the facility and meet the people who roast their beans.
Where's this coffee from?
Oh, Finca Terrerito.
Our current partners even participated in a meeting to negotiate terms on an even footing with the roaster and the retailer. As far as we know, nobody in the coffee industry does that either. And finally, that brings us to the summit itself. Even for people who've been there before, attending the 2 days of the Bigby Nation Summit can feel like drinking from a fire hose. There are non-stop big room presentations, breakout sessions, roundtable events, and it all culminates in a celebration dinner. Our farm partners presented 2 standing room only breakout sessions on the life cycle of coffee, describing the painstaking work it takes to get the coffee cherry all the way from their farms to a Bigby cafe.
Our purpose is to bring prosperity to the people and our community, and to preserve our beautiful planet. Thank you very much.
We also had a test screening of the upcoming full-blown documentary film telling the story of Finca La Fortaleza and its small producers. And the small producers were featured at 2 breakout sessions, telling their own stories in their own words to franchisees and baristas alike. The audiences were particularly interested in Marta's story. What does it take to be a woman leader in a male-dominated culture? Marta described her struggles and her triumphs, and all of the things she still wants to achieve for her community, all of which she manages while still doing the cooking and cleaning at home. It was something that really resonated, particularly with the women in our audience. To encourage Bigby Nation to actively engage with our partners, we produced a special edition collectible calendar and an autograph book with all of our producers' pictures. By day 2, the producers were being treated like rock stars, with hundreds of people asking them for their autographs. But perhaps the most visceral, soul-shaking moment came during our big Obis stage presentation. Bob and I reported on our progress for the year and debuted 3 Field Notes episodes highlighting each of the small producers' stories. At the end of the presentation, all 1,000+ people in the room leapt to their feet and erupted in thunderous applause, all to thank our Farm Direct partners for their tireless work and their excellent coffee. There is something in the coffee industry that Bob and I call the black curtain. It is this impenetrable veil between the producer and the end user that the industry has constructed to keep coffee consumers ignorant of the conditions on the ground in the places where their beloved coffee is grown. As a result, coffee producers, Their struggles and their stories are invisible to most of us. But Miguel, Solomon, and Marta, and the rest of our Farm Direct partners are not invisible anymore.
Hola, mi nombre es Miguel Ángel Cruz Méndez. Yo soy de la comunidad de Majacil y mi finca se llama Finca El Manantial.
Hola, me llamo Salomón de Mesa Sánchez. Mi finca se llama Buenavista.
Hola a todos, me llamo Marta Vázquez Sánchez. Mi pequeña finca se llama La Esperanza porque siento que en ella hay una esperanza para el futuro.